Hello everyone, welcome back to Entangled Observations. I have an interesting question. I need to fill in a little background here first for it. I was raised religious and I've had a lot of experience with religion. And I'm not religious anymore, but I'm still fascinated by religion. The entire process of religion, I find it extremely interesting. I wonder why people seem to need religion. They turn to it so quickly, and why they work so hard to keep it going. Religion really does take a lot of effort, in my opinion. The process of religion, say, for example, trying to create the emotions and the feelings that you need for it. I mean, so much. Look at the cathedrals that are built. Massive, giant cathedrals, or mosques for that matter, or, you know, the amount of effort put into these places is just astounding. The amount of money spent. And what is it for? Well, it's to impose awe and majesty on people, to humble them and make them feel smaller, you know, because they're standing before the majesty of God or something. And it's to basically engender an emotion from the person. And I know as a religious person, at least in my case, I mean, you know, your experience may vary, but I know for myself that a lot of religious belief was about creating these emotions and these feelings within myself so that I could sort of perpetuate this feeling. So people talk about love in their heart and, you know, feeling God in them or feeling the Holy Spirit, that kind of thing. And I know that a lot of it is self-created, or at least it was in my case. Now, I'm no longer religious, so maybe that's why. Maybe some people, you know, just actually feel the flow of God through them, whatever. I doubt it. I think that they probably have to work at it too. I've never found my experiences ever to be all that unique from other people. So I tend to just say, well, if I felt that way, there's probably a good chance most people did. Unless whatever I'm feeling is very specific to my upbringing or something like that, or to a situation. But this is a generality. I mean, I was religious for a good 20-something years. I was raised in religion, and so that's a factor in this. I didn't come to it at a later age. And the fact that I'm not religious anymore, but I do find it very interesting. And one of the reasons that I find it interesting is because of the way that I fell for it and the experience that I've had. Because I can say, quite honestly, I've had many religious experiences, really crazy ones that I can't explain. You know, the real woo-woo stuff, right? Amazing woo-woo stuff. And so that doesn't mean I'm going to believe it, and I'll have to do a video, because that's really, you know, some people take that as proof, you know, and I've had people accuse me, well, you've had all these religious experiences, because I can describe crazy stuff to you. Yes, that's true, but that isn't a basis for belief, not in my mind at any rate. Okay, because when I look at a hypothesis or I look at something I'm thinking, I always ask myself, how can I disprove this? What processes would disprove this? And there's a whole bunch for that, right? I'll have to make a video on that because it's not really my topic right now. So I just wanted to give you a foundation, a basis, sort of what my thinking is. And this video isn't, if you're religious, this video isn't intended to assault religion or to attack it or anything else. Although I could see why religious people would take it that way, but that's your choice. So the thing is, what I'm asking here, and the reason is because I'm reading this little book here right now, to put on my reading glasses, because, you know. Anyway, I came across this passage, which I think is interesting. And it is a prayer. I'm not sure from what time, but it would have probably been, you know, within 100 years of, you know, the dawn of Christianity. Maybe a little later. I don't know. None of these are all that late. And these are epigrams. So this was written in stone somewhere, maybe on a door, maybe on a statue. It doesn't say. But it says, but I'm going to read it to you. And then I'm going to give you what I'm thinking about. A wicked enemy raised against me a tempest of suffering, adding winds to the sea swell. Thence he tosses and sinks and soaks the cargo of my soul's ship. But you, Christ, calm and stiller of the storm, anchor us safely beside your anchorage, showing my sins dry, and this my enemy suitably soaked. What I was thinking when I read that, and I love it, it's very beautiful. And so what I was thinking when I was reading that is I also noticed that they kind of, at this era, people were sort of intermingling pagan beliefs with Christian beliefs at the same time. So they'll talk about different gods in the context of Christianity. And it makes sense because it was just, it's still happening around them. Those gods are still being worshipped around them. And then people are sort of sorting it out, and this stuff can take a few hundred years to work out. Question that I had and that I was wondering is, because I know that religion requires you to sort of create these emotions in yourself, and the temples and the churches and the iconography is all sort of made to create these feelings. So does it matter who you actually pray to? And I think that as long as you have in your mind something that could help you and assist you, I think that the instinct for prayer is almost like pleading with your inner child. It's protecting your inner child, and it's supplicating to a parent. So as long as you have in your mind some kind of a greater being, something more powerful, something that could assist you, a parent, I think that as long as you have that idea in your mind, then the prayer will work to calm you in a crisis situation. And if you look, you'll see that it's assisted you, whatever it is you prayed to, about 50% of the time. So the whole God works in mysterious ways. Yes, he does. Sometimes he doesn't answer because sometimes things go sideways. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that thinking. Is basically, I read the statistics on seeking medical help. So if you have a medical ailment, now this is really off of memory. I haven't checked this in a long time, but this is how I remember it. It was half the time whatever's bothering you will go away on its own. So there's 50-50 chance it'll go away on its own. If you go and you seek a doctor's help, actually, I think it's more than 50. I think it's more like 60% of the time it'll just go away. Your body will just heal itself. But if you go to a doctor, there's a 50-50 chance that they'll make it worse or make it better. On that, basically, from my numbers, let's say it's 50% of the time it'll get better. It might be 60, but let's say 50. That means literally 25% of the time the doctor's going to make it worse, and 25% of the time the doctor's going to make it better, but it would mostly go away on its own. So that means that if you supplicate to one of these beings, say over a health ailment, 75% of the time he's going to answer it. And you're going to feel better because you talked to a parent that helped you and led you, to the light or to health or to whatever it is that you want. And this is sort of the mechanics that faith healers use. They know that most of the time, good 50% of the time, you're just going to get better anyway, and you're going to thank them for it. You're going to say, "Oh yeah, praise you because you saved me." You didn't really. It's just a numbers game. So that's how I think these psychopaths that run these grifts operate, is that they just know the numbers. So in thinking of that, now when I read that passage I read, I really do feel something for it because it's beautiful language. And a lot of religion and prayers and so forth is also written in beautiful language. I think that's a very key element of it. It creates an emotion to read something that's very beautiful, like that passage was. But whether I was praying to Christ or Jupiter or Mars or whatever, as long as I had in my mind idea of a parent or the idea of a greater being than myself, then I could have created that religious experience in myself. And then more than likely, he would have answered, or she would have answered, or it would have answered, whatever you have envisioned. And then you could say, wow, look, it worked. I think that that's how prayer works, actually. Thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and till next time.